this is Hannah. Today we're going to do a mat class and you're going to join in. So start out standing on your mat. Your feet are about a fist distance apart. And I just want you to stand nice and tall. And then you're going to pretend you're like a sticker getting peeled off of a piece of sticker paper. So standing roll down, letting your head lead the way, rounding up and over. You can bend your knees whenever you feel like you need to. And just taking that nice big standing roll down. You'll come down to wherever you like, and then you're going to roll yourself back up. So you're pulling your core muscles up and in, supporting your low back with the front of your body. And you'll roll yourself up to standing as if you could do it one vertebra at a time, and you're still breathing as you move. Good, so there's one, two more. Stand and roll down. Just letting your weight shift between your feet, adjusting or softening your knees whenever you need to. Roll yourself back up. Awesome. Last one. So maybe this time you take your hands up overhead, and it's like you're diving up and over to bring yourself towards that floor. Rounding through the spine, softening the knees when you need to. And then you'll put your hands down on the mat and walk yourself out into a plank. Whatever way you need to, come lay down on your stomach on the mat. And then just turn your face to one side or the other. And your arms are going to go long by your side. Yep, palms can be up or down, whichever's more comfortable for your shoulders. And then I just want you to gently use your core muscles to help you pick up your head a bit so you can turn your face the other way. Good. We're going to do one more of these on each side. You're staying in each spot for about 3 full inhales and exhales. So then I'll have you turn your head towards the front. And you're just laying here kind of taking stock of what your neck feels like as you're breathing. And after you've finished your third breath on this side, you'll turn your head to the other direction and do the same thing over there. Just those full inhales, full exhales. And then when you finish that last one, I want you to take yourself back into a child's pose. So whatever way you want to do that, moving back through hands and knees. Your knees can be as wide as feels good in your hip joints. You can let your arms be out long in front of you. They can also come behind you if reaching above your head makes your neck tight. Up to you. And then while your forehead is down on the mat, if that's available to you, if you need something to take your head up a little higher, you can always put your head on top of a yoga block instead. I just want you to gently rock your forehead back and forth against that mat from side to side. Just a little. There's just a little pressure there. You're still breathing. You get one, maybe two more to each side. You're taking your time. And then I'd like you to lengthen yourself out so that you can lay on one of your sides. So let's have you start out facing the camera. Okay. You're going to lay out nice and long on your side. And what I'd like you to do is take your elbows towards your knees as if you were going to be laying all the way on your side, kind of in a fetal position. Yeah. So your hands can be together, but they don't have to be. And then I want you to reach your arms and your legs long as if you were making a long plank or a long straight line with your body. And then just pull yourself back into that rounded shape. You're using your spine, you're using your core muscles. This is 2. One more just like that. So you get round in your spine, and then you get long in your spine. And then could you take your arms back as if you were opening your chest towards the front of the room? Yep. And then you're going to bend in towards the knees. You move through that straight line, and then you find that big extension if it feels good. One more just like that. Making yourself into a little ball. Stretching out long like a line, and then back into that little bit of extension. Roll onto your back for a second, just feel long. You can take your arms either up by your head or down by your sides, up to you. And then we're gonna roll onto the other side because we have to do it too. So you wanna start out so that you can kind of bring elbows towards your knees and your whole spine rounds. Maybe it feels a little fetal position-y. And then you're just gonna lengthen yourself out long like a line. And then go back into that fetal position. And then long like a line. One more, just nice little ball. And then maybe you reach your arms away from your legs and you're long like a line. Pull in one more time into that ball. And now we're gonna take it long like the line and then find that big extension through your chest. Good, and then pull everything back in. So you're making yourself into a little ball. And then you're gonna reach yourself out to be a line. And then you find that little bit of extension. Beautiful. And bring it all back in. One more of these. So long like a line. And then you're gonna open your chest a little bit and then roll onto your back. Nice. So let's put you back into the center of the mat. You're gonna lay yourself all the way down on your back. And then take your arms out wide like a T. Palms are towards the ceiling. Now, if at any point you start feeling tight through your upper neck, your trap, you just take your hands further down so that they're closer to your hips or not as high as your shoulders. So let's take both hands up to the ceiling. They're gonna stay shoulder distance apart. Wonderful. I want you to shrug your shoulders towards your ears. 3, 2, and 1. And then I want you to try and reach both of your hands towards the ceiling so your shoulder blades kind of move away from your spine, but your head still stays down. Yeah, and then arms come back down. 3, 2, last one. Okay, so you want to find that little bit of armpit connection so you don't feel too tight in the neck. We're going to open the arms out into a T for 5 and back up. Hands stop shoulder distance apart. Good. 2. You're breathing as you move. 3, 4, and 5. Beautiful. This time, I want you to take your hands back up overhead like you were making yourself into an I. They don't have to come all the way back, and then they go back to shoulder height. Good. 5 of these. 2, and back up. 3, 4, and 5. Great, I'm gonna move because I'm in the way again, but this time I want you to open your arms into a Y, kind of like the YMCA, and then bring them back so that the palms are facing each other, they're shoulder distance apart. So they're still kind of up by the ceiling, and then they open into the Y, and then back up. 3 more like this. And you're still just breathing as you move. Last one. Beautiful. So now we're going to do 3 rounds of doing all 3 of those shapes. So it's a T first, arms come out wide. They come back up, they go overhead like an I. They come back in line with the shoulders and then they open into a Y. Beautiful. Back up, so T, and up, and I, and a Y. Last round, a T, and an I, and a Y. Beautiful. Let your arms come all the way down by your sides for a moment. I have to remember all the other things. Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh, I think I have to be further in. Bring yourself into an all-fours position. So your quadruped, hands are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. Beautiful. So let's take a couple cat-cows here. You're going to round your whole spine towards the ceiling, and then you're going to move your spine in the opposite direction, finding some width in between your collarbones. Yep. 2 more each direction. And last cat, moving into your last cow. Beautiful. Find a pretty flat back as if you were a table, so your low back isn't hanging down. Maybe you relax this just a little, good, but you still feel a connection in your low core. So from here, without letting your spine move, could you just let your stomach hang down? It doesn't matter if it's visible or not. And then pull your stomach back up and in. So flatten this out just a tiny bit, good. So you're gonna keep the spine the same, let your stomach hang, and then pull those stomach muscles back up and in. Beautiful. 3 more, just like that. And back up and in. 2 more. And last one. Good. Find that little bit of your tabletop connected into your core feeling. And I want you to take your right arm out long and put it back down. Same thing, but the other hand. And then let's do one of each leg, just making sure you feel like you've got hands underneath shoulder joint and knees underneath your hip joint. Beautiful. So let's start out. I want you to only hover your knee like a tiny bit. Maybe a piece of paper could fit underneath your knee. So you're on those toes, you're just hovering. Could you pull your armpits a little bit towards your hips? So you kind of feel it into the side right there, and put those knees back down. Take a big inhale. Exhale to come up again into that little position. Keep breathing. 3, 2. Last inhale, exhale, and then you let yourself come back down. Beautiful. Let's take your right arm and your left leg out long, so you're still keeping a long, flat-ish back. Maybe you look down at the mat so you feel like the back of your skull. Good. You could also turn your toes to be flat side down, the ones that are touching the mat, if that's better. Okay, perfect. From here, bring it back in. We're going to do the other side. So you're going to take the opposite arm and leg out long. Left arm, right leg. Good. Keep breathing. Could you pull your shoulder onto your back just that little bit? Good. I'm making you stay here for as long as you did on the other side. I think that's about it now. So you're going to put that back down. Good. Right arm, left leg, reach out long. And then I want you to take them out to the side they're on. And take it back. Good. 5, 4. It's okay if you snap, crackle, but maybe it doesn't need to. 2. You're still breathing. Last one. Good. Put that down. Sit yourself back into a child's pose real quick. Get some stretch. And then we're going to come do the other side. So, knees underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulder joint. We're going to reach arm and leg long. They go out to the side that they're on. 5 and 4. Still pulling your armpits in towards your hips up towards your armpits. Good. 2. Last one. Woo. Bring that hand and knee down and then sit yourself back, big child's pose. If you want to, you can always reach your hands behind you or in front of you. Take 3 really full, deep breaths here. You expand the back. Maybe you feel like your ribs or your stomach get bigger. Let them. And last breath here like this. Full in, full out. Come back up to all fours. Last little shebang here. So knees are under the hip joints. Hands are underneath your shoulders. You feel like you could let your shoulders connect onto your back a little bit, and you're pulling your ribs up and in so your low back doesn't have to hang down. Awesome. So right arm, left leg go out long. Could they each make 5 little circles one direction? So you're moving from your shoulder and your hip joint. And it doesn't matter if they're actually circles. It's the thought that counts here. And then 5 little circles the other way. Don't worry. They're so hard. They're so hard. And I know it. And that's why I make people do it. And then you put that hand and that knee down. Whew, set yourself up.
What's a circle?
What is a circle? How do I make a circle with a foot? Yeah, it's harder than it seems like it should be for sure. So we're going to take opposite arm and leg out long. You're pulling that core up and in, and we're going to make those 5 little circles from the hip, from the shoulder. 4, 5, and opposite way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit yourself back into a nice child's pose. Nothing like a little adventure. Right. When you're ready, you'll bring yourself up to seated so that you are able to roll back onto your mat partway. So you want to have some space no matter which way you're facing. Your knees are bent, your feet are planted. And I want you to take your hands either onto the sides of your own thighs, or you can, if you want to, you can take them out long in front of you. So we're just going to start out with some partial rollbacks, which means that you're moving from your low pelvis. So find your tallest self here, whatever that means, and start rolling yourself backwards as if you were going to put the tag of your pants down, and then come back up and sit up tall. Good, so we're moving through the core. You're articulating through that low pelvis as you come back. You have your hands behind your thighs in case you feel like you're going to die or just throw yourself somewhere, and come back up. We're trying to keep the feet in contact with the floor. If for some reason they're coming up, you can always put like a gentle hand weight right over the edge so that they don't pick up. Good, and back up. Last one, maybe you roll yourself all the way down to the floor. Doesn't matter if it looks good when you get there. You just want to be able to bring your head and your shoulders and your arms back down. Good. Go ahead and bend your knees a little bit further for me, Hannah. So take your hands and bring them just above your shoulders towards the ceiling. So your palms are facing towards each other. Take a big inhale and a full exhale. Next big inhale. When you exhale, roll yourself up to seated. Good, I'm pushing down into your feet. Nice. So question, I want you to roll yourself back down slowly. It's almost as if you were going to say, my name is first name, last name. My address is 1234 Sesame Street. I live in blah, 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 Yawtown. And then you're all the way down. You can say your real first name, last name, and address, but obviously I wasn't going to do that right now, so I had to make something up, and that was the really smart thing I had. So big inhale. Exhale. My name is first name, last name. My address is 1234 Sesame Street. I live in yada yada town. Good. 2 more just like that. So rolling down. My first name, last name. I live in 1234 Sesame Street. Yada town, huzzah. I don't know. It's roughly the same amount of time each time. Last one, big inhale. Use your exhale. You find the muscles underneath your ribs to help you sit up. You're rolling up. Yeah, 1234 Sesame Street. You knew it was there. And then just let your arms come all the way down by your sides for a second. Let your head reach forward. Maybe you fold your arms up so you can rest your head on your forearms. You're just letting your head hang a little bit so that the back of your neck doesn't feel like it's having to do any work right now. I'm going to give you this little ball for the next part. I just need to deflate it somewhat, if I can. Too much, too little. Okay. So you're going to come lay on your back, and that's going to go underneath your pelvis, but give me a second because I'm going to do that little intro thing for it. So I'm just moving. Okay. Just so we can find it in there. So the next thing we're going to do is have you come lay down on your back. Sorry, I'm going to wait and re-record that. Stupid car. I was going to say, he doesn't have a muffler because he stole that Honda from somewhere for sure. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is come lay down on your back. You want to get a small kind of inflatable ball that you can partially deflate. So this goes underneath your pelvis, which means it's behind some of those bones, a little bit above your butt crack, but also there's some butt cheek support there. I know, great technical term. The best way to tell if you're in the right place or not is that once you put your weight on top of it, does it feel like you're gonna fall over the ball towards your feet? If it does, you might need to move it down just a little bit. If it feels like you're having a hard time keeping your pubic bone from coming up towards your face, you just have to move yourself the opposite direction. Found a pretty good spot here? Okay, so hands are gonna come onto your pelvis. Fingertips come towards your pubic bone. Heels of your hands are on the front of your hips. Good, so from here, you've got this ball for feedback. What I want you to do is tip your pubic bone towards your face. The goal is not to squeeze your glutes to do it, but to use your stomach muscles. And then come back into that neutral position. So pubic bone, hip bones roughly level with each other. Tip it towards your feet now. And back to the center, towards your face. Center and to your feet. Back to the center, to your face. Back to the center, to your feet. One more time each direction, towards your face. Back to the center, to your feet. Come back and find yourself pretty level. Okay, it's a very small movement next, but I want you to think that we're gonna try to tip from side to side. So it's almost as if one of your hips could come 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch towards the floor without them shifting up into your armpits. So you're gonna feel like a little pulling down sensation. And then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side, that little pull down sensation. It's not great to catch on camera. It's not easy to see, but you're alternating sides, getting that little drop down and a little drop down. You're using your core muscles. So if you're like, dude, I don't know if I'm doing this right, that's okay. This is one of those even the effort counts kind of things, especially at the outset. One more to each side. And then you're gonna come back into the neutral. Good, so we've moved your hips around a little bit. Now let's start challenging some of that core that you've just woken up. Bring your right leg up into tabletop. So your knees over your hip, your ankle and your knee roughly, level with each other. I just want you to tap this heel down to the mat from your hip joint and back up. We're going for 5 and 4. So you're really thinking core muscles help you bring that leg back up. You have to use a little core muscle because you're using the opposite leg to keep you from tipping just a little bit. And then on your 5th one, it'll come up and come all the way down. Good. Pull that leg back in. Let's get the other side. So you bring it into a tabletop. You make sure you feel pretty level here, and we're gonna tap that heel down towards the floor. So you're just moving from the hip joint. Probably won't feel the same side to side. That's okay. Doesn't matter if the hip gets all the way to the heel gets all the way to the floor. Last one. Yeah, and then you're gonna bring it down. Good. Bring your right leg up into tabletop. So this leg will come down to the floor. I think it stays in that 90-90 bend as we do it. So 90-90 bend comes straight to the floor. Other leg comes straight up and down. Good. Think smaller lift, so you almost have to work harder to keep that pelvis level. Yeah. Maybe you keep breathing. Not a demand, just an option. One more on each side. So you can feel your core is warm. You're having to do work here for sure. Now what if we upped the ante? Left leg comes up into tabletop. Find your neutral pelvis. Switch the legs so they pass each other in space. What if you put your hands down on the mat instead? Does that make it any better? Little bit?
Yeah.
2, 3. Think about pulling your core in a little bit. 4, yep. And 5, we're almost done. Good.
Hard on the ball.
I know, it makes it so much harder when you're balancing on top of an unstable object. Great, bring both of your legs up into tabletop for me. Good. Maybe your heels come closer to each other, and we're going to take your knees a little bit further away from you, so towards the wall. Good. Deep breath. Just hanging out. I'm counting. You're breathing. You find kind of a wide collarbone feeling. You're pushing down. Beautiful. Could you straighten both legs to the ceiling? And then bend them all the way in, and then put them down on the floor. Pick up your bottom, take that ball out from underneath you. Lay yourself all the way down. Yeah, I know. The ball makes itself unwelcome pretty quickly. Okay. Da, 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 da. So now we're going to use the ball one more time, but we're putting it kind of in between your knees, a little bit higher than your knee joint. It's still a little deflated because we're not trying to like smash the ball. It's just to give you something to press in on a little bit. So arms are down long. You find your long connected spine on this mat. And I just want you to practice bringing yourself up halfway into a bridge. So you're kind of peeling your pubic bone up, and then you lay yourself down one vertebra at a time. Good. 4 more, just like that. Maybe you inhale on the way up and exhale on the way down. 4. Last one is 5. Beautiful. Come back up into a bridge you feel comfortable holding for a moment. So there's a little squeeze from the inner thigh. You feel long, so you're using front body and back body. Good connection. You kind of find that broad shoulder. Could you pick up your right heel and then put it back down? Same thing on the other side. 2 more each side. Little march. It's a babyest of march. You're keeping those hips nice and level. Last one. And then you're going to bring yourself all the way back down to the mat. Good. Hug your knees into your chest for just a second. Feel like a little ball momentarily. Good. You're going to ditch that ball for good now. Roll over onto your side so that you could line yourself up. Hips, shoulders, and head are in one straight line, and then you're going to bend your knees forward in front of you. Good. Could you lay yourself down on your side? Good. You can use your arm to support your head however you want to. Perfect. I want you to take both of your legs towards the front edge of your mat. And then straighten them out so they go out long. Yep. So you've got a little bit of the bend at the hip in order to take your feet kind of forward in space from where you're at. Is that okay? Cool. So we're just going into a little side kick situation first. So you're going to hover your top foot to be about the same height as the head of your femur in your hip socket. Beautiful. So bend your knee like you were stepping onto a big stair. Can you bring it in a little bit? Good. And then press it all the way out long. And then pull it back in. What if you flexed your ankle? Good. And then pressed back out. We're going for 5. 3. And 4. Last one, 5. Good. Keep this long leg. Could it swing forward some amount without anything else going anywhere? And backwards some amount? Good. You're trying to keep those hips over hip. You're using a little bit of your side body so that you don't feel like you're going to throw yourself somewhere, forward or backwards. 4. Last one, 5. Good. Let this top leg rest over the bottom leg. We're not done yet, but quick break. So I want your top leg to come up to about the same height it was before. Could you make 5 little circles in one direction from your hip? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same thing, opposite direction for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Leg comes down. All right, top leg comes up to hover. Now your top hand can press down into the mat here. Could you bring your bottom leg up to tap it 5 times? 5. So what is this? 4. 3. Good. 2. 1. Lay it down. Bend your knees in like you were gonna make a little, yep, and now we've got 5 little clams. So the deal here is that the top hip stays stacked over the bottom hip. So you can feel it kind of into the side of your hip or your glute med. Yeah, that feeling. 4 and 5. Beautiful. Roll onto your back. Just feel long for a second. And then we're going to have to do the other side. Of course we are. When you're ready, you roll onto the other side. I'm going to have to move out of the way. So you get yourself lined up again so that your shoulders and your hips are in a line. And then your feet kind of move forward on the mat a little bit from there. Good. So let's start out picking up that top foot. And you're going to have that foot about the same height as like the head of the femur in the hip socket, so it comes down just a tiny bit. Bend that knee in like you're stepping onto a big stair. Push that foot away. Good. 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Leg goes long. It kicks forward some amount and back some amount. Yep. 2, 3, 4, there you go, and 5. You're going to stack both feet for just a moment. Okay, top foot comes up to about the same height it just was. 5 little circles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Opposite direction for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're stacked. You breathe for a moment. Okay, top foot comes up to hover. Bottom foot comes up to tap it. 5, 4. What if you pulled up from the inner thigh? 3. Yeah, I know. 2. Last one. Bend both knees. 5 clams. Yeah. 3, 4, 5. Good. Roll onto your back for a second. Let's take a figure 4 for each leg. So you pick the leg you want to do first, and you find the figure 4 that feels good to you. You can grab onto the back of your thigh. Just breathe. Last big inhale and exhale. And then I'll have you switch to the other leg so it gets a stretch too. Most people feel different from side to side. Very normal. And you just want to take full inhales and exhales. Last breath here. Jump cut to the next thing. How you feeling? Okay, just check it. Okay. So, you're just going to put your feet down on the floor. All right, head comes down. Okay, we're going to set up for a little bit of 100. So, legs will come up into tabletop. Good. Now, you can keep your head down if you want to. You can also pick up your head, neck, and chest. If you do that, we're trying not to make it all about your neck picking you up, but using some of these muscles underneath your ribs to help you feel it. Your hands are going to keep reaching long, and they flutter up and down, kind of like you have tiny springs underneath your hands that you're pushing up and down into. Oh boy. So take a big inhale. Exhale if you want to pick up the head, neck, and chest. Start to flutter those hands. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling for a count of 5. Exhaling for a count of 5. Inhaling for a count of 5. I know it's so much work. Exhaling for a count of 5. Good. Let this come down just a little. There you go. Keep going. And out. Could you reach one leg out long as you inhale for 5? It can even come up higher if that's better. Exhale for 5. Switch to the other leg. Inhale for 5. Exhale for 5. Pull both knees in. And exhale. One more. Big inhale. Big exhale. Everything lays down. Yep. You can bring your feet down to the mat. And you can let them go from side to side with those knees if it gives you a little twist you'd like. You worked so hard for those like 80 to 100 reps that it's worth it.
So much right here.
Yes, and that's why you only do one of them. It is the 100. We are not doing hundreds. Like, that's how you don't make friends in class, for sure. Wonderful. Okay, from here. I don't remember anything because I wrote this 2 weeks ago. I should probably do it like right before, but I'll never remember it all.
That's what editing's for.
Exactly. Thank God. Okay. It's like hiding it. Fuck it. I don't care if people see my notes. It's just hiding right there. So, because I can't remember it all when I do things like this. Okay, I want you to stretch your left leg out long on the mat. Your heel will be down, so you're flexing that foot. And then I'd like you to pick up the other leg towards the ceiling. Good. So what we're making is a single leg circle here. It can be big or small, but it's going to cross your midline. Yeah, and you can let your hips come up if that feels good. Let's go for 5 each direction. 2. Good. You're keeping that left heel planted on the floor. And you're breathing as you move. Of course, if the long straight leg is not for you, it can be in tabletop, just making the same shapes. 4 and 5. And then we'll go the opposite way. Because just like everything in Pilates, you go both ways, you do both sides. Awesome. Feels kind of nice, gives you a little mobility. And then we have to do the other leg. So bring that leg down. You're going to keep your heel in contact with the mat. And we start on the same thing, just the other leg. They can be big, they can be small. They might even change size as you're doing it. And that's okay. We're just trying to get some mobility from the hip joint and intentionally from the hip joint. Sort of like if someone was stirring you up right there. 5, 4, 3, 2. And good. Bend that knee in towards your chest. Go ahead and grab onto your shin. What if you picked up your head, neck, and chest to look at your thigh and you hovered the right leg off the floor? Good. Make this leg a little bit more like tabletop. Could we switch legs? 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3. Let your head come back in space a little. There you go. And 4. 1 more on each side. And then hug both knees in and lay your head down. Okay. So both legs go out at the same time. Your arms are going to go up to the ceiling first. So curl yourself up to look at your head, at your thighs. Good. Toes can point. So arms go to the ceiling, legs go out towards the wall, and pull them back in. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Arms come down by your side, legs go long. Roll yourself onto your stomach. So here I want you to take your arms to make kind of a diamond above your head. So both palms are making contact with the mat. You can have your forehead down. If that doesn't feel good, you can always turn your face to the side instead. So legs are long behind you. If your low back feels tight, you can take your legs further apart, no biggie. And then also thinking about those shoulders. Could they move away from your ears just a tiny bit? Your pubic bone, which is right above your private parts, pushes down into the mat just a little bit, not because you're squeezing your butt, but because you're using those stomach muscles to tip it forward a little. Beautiful. Just keep a little of that connection. Take a big inhale. On your exhale, push weight down into your hands. Maybe you lift your face off the mat and then you put it back down. Let's try 2 more. You're going to lift your face. Maybe you straighten your arms a little bit more. And bring it back down. Good. Now you're going to put weight down into your hands. So you're going to start to lift your upper body off of the floor and back down. So you can feel something's going on in between the shoulder blades. They kind of pull onto your back and you don't feel too tight up into those shoulders or your neck. So you feel that little pulling of the shoulder blades onto the back. Could you even lift the elbows? Yeah, lay it all the way back down. Maybe you bring your hands in closer to your head, see if that suits you better. See if you can straighten your arms and still feel connected enough under the ribs to lift yourself up to be long. Nice, and lay it all the way down. Beautiful. Go ahead and lift yourself up last time. And back down.